In September of 2021, I flew to Texas, bought an empty cargo truck, then drove it 1,100 miles back to Wisconsin, where I spent the following year building it out into a tiny living space. Now, I'm planning to travel the US, Mexico, and possibly Canada. I'm Jack Smackey. Sit back and join me while I take you along on a van life adventure. So I want to touch base a little bit on the last couple of videos that I put out. I was putting my electrical system through the paces and, doing some testing, kind of determining, what use case might be, how much battery I'm going to deplete, how long is it going to take to recharge, sort of thing. And I was basing my assessment off some bad data. How is the data bad? Well, I got called out on Reddit, of all places, of course. Experiences are, your mileage is going to vary and that sort of thing. But it turned out kind of good because I got into a contact with someone who was, willing to help me out a little bit. Now, what I basically said in the post I made was that my batteries recharged from, a low depletion percentage to 100% in a very, very short period of time. And everyone was kind of scratching their heads at first. Some of them, said I was exaggerating, really wasn't, being truthful and all that stuff. And the reality of it is that I was basing my assessment off of my Victron app as it showed me over the course of several times. I checked it, every half an hour, 45 minutes, hour, and basing my determination off of what I was seeing on the Victron app. But lo and behold, the data was incorrect because some of the settings weren't they weren't dialed in properly or appropriately, let's put it that way. Now, this came from, a supplier was under the impression that it was already sort of tuned and set up. It very well could have been. I did send it in for warranty maintenance, warranty work. Settings might have been changed there. So, I don't know. But at the end of the day, the settings in my Victron app weren't, in the battery monitor, weren't really set up properly. A couple of the things that were pointed out was the, let's see, there's the charged voltage. Mine was set like 13.2 and recommended is 14.2. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it made a significant difference after I made that change. There was a discharged floor that I modified. Tail current was okay. Charge detection time was okay. Charge efficiency factor, I made a slight modification to that. Current threshold was fine. Time to go average, that was fine. And the synchronization part of that was fine too. But so I think the biggest factor in what my data was seeing was that it was the charged voltage. So the reality was that my batteries weren't getting fully charged, but the app was saying they were because they'd hit that 13.2 instead of 14.2. So when I changed it to 14.2 and did a couple preliminary tests, eyes got really open because the charge time was pretty significant, to go from, a few hours, couple hours, hour sort of thing to charge to an all-day affair sort of thing. Kind of went, okay, well, I have to completely reassess my battery usage now because, it's taking a lot longer for these batteries to be full charged. So I'm going to have to wait as I test the systems out further when I'm finally on the road, because at this point in time, I'm not going to be doing too many outings. for a number of reasons. It is coming on the middle of October, and the 10-day forecast for me is freezing weather. You know, we're going to get down overnight, low temps in the 30s, low 30s. So that's going to put a little bit of a hindrance on me actually doing anything, because I don't have a heater in here. I'm trying to rely on the heating blanket at night. You know, I'm not trying to get into you know, weather climates that are, you know, uber freezing. I just prefer not to be there. I prefer not to be in them situations if I can help it. So that's really the reason I don't have a heater in here. I'm sure it'll come back and bite me in the tail at some point, but maybe I'll put a heater in down the road. But at any rate, so the temperature wise is I'm not going to be doing too many outings because it's getting cold for overnights. And the other factor is I don't want my water to freeze. I got 30 gallons on board. I got a filtration system, and I'm going to have to winterize that. So that's what we're going to do today. It isn't really going to be that big of a deal to winterize it. I just got to drain all the water out and pull the filters out of the filtration system, drain all the water out of that, and just let it go dry. And then that way there's nothing really in there that can freeze, cause damage, or anything like that. So, and of course the other reason why I'm not going to be doing too many more outings here is trying to wrap up everything I've got going on at home so that I can do this van life thing. Not going to go into too much detail in this video. Probably going to go into more detail about how things, you know, rolled out and stuff once I'm sort of out of here. But so then that'll kind of have to wait. But at any rate, that's kind of my ticket right now, is I'm going to have to winterize the van and get it prepared so things don't freeze up in here as I take care of everything else that's happening at my house. So I guess let's get started on the walk. All right, so I recently conveniently completely filled up my 30-gallon water tank. So we got a lot of water to drain out. I think I'm probably gonna wipe all this out of here too, clean it up a bit, and we'll go from there. So this is gonna take a minute. All right, in addition to draining the water tanks and stuff, I've got my hoses, my fill hoses all wound up. I've had those up in the house. Basically, I just ran them out the patio door and down to the van. And then when I was full, I just pull it back up into the house and leave them sort of stored in a sort of a pile on the floor, because, you know, I was actively using them. But now that I'm kind of winterizing the van, I went ahead and stowed those in a bag. And I've got these fittings here. These are pretty cool. This is actually a complete kit of faucet parts, faucet to garden hose connection kind of things. So based on what type of faucet that you have, if I can't find a standard hose bib outside or whatever, if I'm at someone's house or whatever, I can connect to one of their faucets based on whatever kind of faucet they have. I got a lot of variety of parts here that should work pretty well. So I'm going to keep those in the bag. And then I've got my fill neck, which is the part that goes to the van down into the fill port and holds on to the garden hose there. That can go in the bag. And then the other thing that I've got, I picked up this filter, inline filter, and I suppose what I'll do is when I get to a spot where, you know, the water might be a little sketchy, I can always put this on before it goes into my tank. And now I'm filtering the water for drinking, but I'm not necessarily filtering it for like cooking or cleaning or anything like that. But having reasonably decent water coming in to start with is probably a good idea. So I'm about 13 minutes down in the draining process, and I don't know, I'm probably 1/3 or 25% down. You can see the line of water, pumps running non-stop. I think my little tank there, my accumulator, is kaput. So I'll have to look into getting another one of those down the road. Not really a critical piece of kit, but certainly would help out from keeping the pump running non-stop, because it does supply some pressure. Took about an hour to empty out that tank. 30 gallons. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad, but hour-long shower for 30 gallons, I guess. I don't know. We'll see how that works out when I do finally take a shower. But at any rate, so I've got the I got a water filtration system out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to toss those, and then once I get going again, I have new filters I'm going to put in, so that way I'm not worried about that. This was, you know, I don't know, you can kind of see the ickiness that's going on in there, so I might take these up to the house and send them through the dishwasher, or put them in the sink and wash them up there, clean them out. But the next step is I gotta get this water heater out. I don't know that there's another way of draining it besides taking it out and just flipping it upside down, kind of thing. I know the valve is in the off position, but that I just recently, you know, switched, so it's full of water, which I guess I figured I was going to use it, but haven't quite got that far yet. So I'm gonna have to disconnect those shark bite fittings and pull this out of here. All right, well, let's see here. Got one of these little thingamaboppers that's supposed to help me disconnect these. I gotta lift this up and off of the connection. There we go. That was easy. That said, there we go. Whew. That side's disconnected. Oh, this side here should just pop right up. There we go. Easy peasy. Alright, now I suspect this is going to be quite heavy. So, sure I'm not hung up on anything here. Well, it's not as heavy as I expected it to be. All right, perfect. That's not so bad. All right, now that I got that water heater, that was kind of worrying some. I mean, it wasn't bad, let's put it that way, but at any rate, I got a bit of a mess under the sink. I'm gonna take some paper towel and had lots of sawdust in here from when I was still working on everything. Pretty wet. Dirty. We'll wipe all this out. Perfect. That'll do. Well, I guess it was a good thing. It was a good thing I took this cover off, because I totally forgot about all of that. That is not going to weather very good. So that's got to get transported upstairs. Yeah, not good, not good. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to disconnect the plumbing under here too as well, because I want to make sure I get the majority of the water out of the lines if I can. So I would say that that's empty. Now this has got a check valve on it. This is where the city water comes in, so it's going to push this way, which realistically that should drain, but I don't know if that's got water in there or not. I wonder maybe if we shouldn't try to blow some air down that. All right, so I've got I'm gonna turn this regulator down to about, let's say 40 psi, because that's right in line with, you know, typical tank pressure, 40, 50. I don't want to blow out the lines or anything like that. And we got our city water fill right there. Yeah. There, that cleared that line right out. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, so I just disconnected this line here, which is the basically this is the fill. This is the main line from the tank that goes up to the sink, and just went ahead and blew that out too. So there shouldn't be any water in those lines. And that's it. There's a tiny bit of water in the tank. There might be, now there shouldn't be any water in here. If it is, it's insignificant because of the way it's up. But otherwise, that should be that. You shouldn't have any more issue. Shouldn't have any freezing water now. All right. So this is all drained out. I'll give it a good wipe here. And there we go. It should be good. All right, so we've got pretty much the van winterized to the water anyways. I went ahead and washed these all out real good. I'm going to go ahead and put the filters in. I'm not going to put any water through it, so I won't have to worry about it freezing. But the filters will be in place for when I'm ready to go. Won't have to worry. So that pretty much packs it in for this, I think. Nice short and sweet video. Nothing much happened besides just winterizing the van and getting ready for the next steps. Things are going really quickly. I'm hoping that I can stay on top of everything. I'm just overwhelmed. Just want it to be on the other side of this whole thing. Get into van life. Get away from this situation. So that'll be good. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be sure to check out next week's video. And if you like the content, be sure to like and subscribe.